Here we're given f of x equals 4 plus x squared minus x cubed. And we're to find the local maximum and minimum values for the function and the value of x at which each occurs. We're also to find the intervals on which the function is increasing and in which it is decreasing. We're going to use the graphing calculator. We're going to enter the function in the y equals screen. 4 plus x squared minus x cubed. Now we're going to graph this in the standard window and see that our interest is in the first and second quadrant, right around y equals 5. So let's go into the window feature, and let's go from -5 for x min to 5 for x max, 0 for y min, up to 10 for y max. And look at the graph again. Okay, so now we have a good look. The local maximum is occurring at this point. The local minimum is occurring at this point. And so if I want to be precise, I'm going to use the maximum and minimum feature on the calculator. So I do second trace, which is calc, press 4 for maximum. You see that it says left bound. So since I'm finding the maximum, I want to bring the cursor using the arrow keys close to, but to the left of the local maximum. Now I press enter, move the cursor close to, but to the right of the local maximum, press enter again, and the calculator is going to work between those two boundaries that we set. We don't really have to provide a guess. We can simply press enter, and we find that the maximum point occurs at x equals 1, and its value is y equals 5. There's a slight error on this because of the pixels, but to 2 or even 3 decimal points, the maximum is 5, and it occurs when x equals 1. So let's go back and record that the maximum is 5. It occurs at x equals 1. Sometimes when you're asked to do these, you will simply respond with the point 1, 5. So now let's go back and find the minimum. So we repeat the process. We do second trace. This time choose 3 for minimum. Use the arrows to move the cursor left of where the local minimum occurs. Press enter. Now move the cursor to the right of where the minimum occurs. Press enter a third time, and we see that the minimum value get to 2 decimal places is 3.81, and it occurs at negative 0.33. Again, to 2 decimal places. So back we go and record that the minimum is 3.81. It occurs at x equals negative 0.33. So again, sometimes we will respond saying that the point negative 0.33 comma 3.81 gives us the minimum value as well as the value of x at which it occurs. So now let's go back to look at the graph, and we see that the graph is increasing from its minimum value up to its local maximum. So between the local minimum and the local maximum, the curve is increasing. Now, in order to designate that, we use the interval from the domain of the function that is involved. And so it would be from negative 0.33 all the way up to 1, because negative 0.33 is where the minimum occurred and 1 is where the maximum occurred. And so for the increasing interval is for x greater than negative 0.33 and x less than 1. In interval notation, this would be from negative 0.33 to 1. Now, some authors will use the closed interval. Some will use the open interval. In Stewart 6th edition, which we are using, the closed interval is preferred. So now let's look at the decreasing. So we see that the function is decreasing for x less than negative 0.33, and it's also decreasing for x greater than 1. So decreasing because the y values are getting smaller after that local maximum was reached. Decreasing means that the curve is going down to the right, whereas increasing means it's going up to the right. So we have 2 decreasing intervals. And so for decreasing, we have the intervals where x is less than negative 0.33 and the interval where x is greater than 1. So in interval notation, this would be from negative infinity to negative 0.33 and the interval 1 to infinity. So there are 2 intervals where the function is decreasing. Again, our author Stewart prefers that we do this with negative infinity to negative 0.33 with a square bracket at negative 0.33 and a square bracket at 1 up to infinity. We never use a square bracket with plus or minus infinity. So let me tell you why some authors do not use the square brackets. Notice if you look here, the number 1 and the number negative 0.33 are included in both. So we seem to have a contradiction where we have numbers in intervals that are both increasing and decreasing. You won't have any problems. Both of these options will be marked correct.